Hello Internet friends, my name is Rich. Thank you so much for visiting me at the Toy Aisle Alliance YouTube channel. I just want to do a quick video on my Dark Knight Movie Masters figures, or Batman Nolanverse figure collection. These of course are the figures based on the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. We'll start here first with this Christian Bale Batman. I'm not sure if this is the Dark Knight Bale Batman or the Dark Knight Rises. Those costumes were both very similar. It was really the Batman Begins costume that had the most changes as far as the look of the costume goes. But there he is. There's also a Christian Bale. I have the Christian Bale head. I might actually switch that Christian Bale head on, because they did actually do a really good Bale sculpt, and he is very, very dusty. I apologize for that. More like Dusty Knight, am I right? Next to him is a Heath Ledger Joker. This was the second Heath Ledger Joker that Mattel made. The first one had a little better articulation, and he had his trench coat on. So I liked the body, but the head sculpt on the second version is much better. I really like that. It's a very creepy Ledger-looking Joker. There is a Two-Face. There was also a Harvey Dent that was very similar to this figure, obviously, except for one half of him. But I don't like having sort of the same character on the shelf. I sort of just want the best version of the character. So there is Two-Face. I did a pretty good job on his face. Here is the Scarecrow figure. This is a weird one because there were two Scarecrows that were made. There was one where he was wearing this kind of straitjacket, kind of trench coat, which he never really wore in the movie. He had a regular straitjacket on, but not the sort of this long straitjacket coat the figure had. Then they made this figure where he is just wearing sort of a suit, which is accurate, except he's wearing a bolo tie. And no one should be wearing a bolo tie, not even supervillains. So I might eventually switch out that head on a regular suited body, but they did a good job on the head sculpt. Back here we have Rageout, who is of course the main villain in Batman Begins. However, he didn't get a figure until Dark Knight Rises, and I do not believe he came with a sword. I think that's a sword that he procured afterwards, but not a bad face sculpt on him. There is, of course, Tom Hardy's Bane. I don't care what anyone says. I loved Tom Hardy as Bane. I like the jacket. I like the mask. There were two Banes that were made. There was a sexy sleeveless Bane that came in a 2-pack, and this was the regular release Bane. There you can see the very cool bat signal. I've always wanted a 1/12 scale bat signal, so it was really cool that this was the collect and connect feature for a lot of these figures. The Dark Knight Rises figures obviously had the collect and connect bat signal, and if it's battery operated, and it actually shines a pretty mean bat symbol on your wall, which is cool. Here is Officer Blake, or Robin Blake, or Blake Robin. Spoiler alert. Pretty good Joseph Gordon-Levitt face sculpt. Could use a little bit more paint, but that's, story of my life. And it's cool for customizers that you get sort of a regular police officer body that you can use. Here is the Gary Oldman Commissioner Gordon. I think he was released in two different versions. One, the coat was a little bit different. I think one version was in a 2-pack, and one was a single release version. Not a bad Gary Oldman Gordon. Here is Catwoman, Selina Kyle. There were two versions of this figure. One with the goggles down, and this one that I have with the goggles up. Again, I apologize for the dust. I prefer the goggle up look because it kind of gives her the appearance of cat ears, which is obviously intentional. And here is Michael Caine. Not enough Michael Caine action figures. This is of course Michael Caine as Alfred. Not a bad head sculpt. I apologize, the light's a little bright there. But clearly could have used a little bit more paint. But it's cool to get an Alfred figure. We don't get enough Alfred figures. So, and there we are back with Batman. So just a small collection, but I think this represents all the most important characters from the movies. So very nice. I think these are the best movie figures Mattel has made as far as superheroes go. Although the Wonder Woman figures, the reason Wonder Woman figures were pretty good, but their Suicide Squad figures were a little weak, as some of the Batman versus Superman figures weren't up to snuff. But these Movie Masters figures are quite nice, and I don't think most of them are terribly hard to get. I think the real draw, though, of these figures if you got the Dark Knight Rises series, is putting together that bat symbol. So there you go, guys. That's it. I hope to have some new toys in this week, but we shall see if the toy gods smile upon me. But until then, hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did like it. Please subscribe if you want to see me ramble on about toys in other videos. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I will see ya.